I always like think that actually I'm quite talented, and I would actually feel that that can partly be attributed to like because I'm gay. So I'm actually like talented somewhat because I'm gay. And if like let's say like if like I was straight, right, maybe I'll be less talented. You get what I mean?
It's a funny story. At least it is to me.
Hello everybody, this is Kai again, and today I have with me Elijah. Elijah appeared in my film Part 2 as Joey. Yeah, Elijah.
Oh, okay. What am I supposed to say?
You just intro yourself.
Hi, I'm Elijah. I use they them pronouns. I'm 19. Actually just finished my exams yesterday. year one of uni is a lot steeper than I expected. But I'm glad I'm doing all this stuff on the side also. Like acting. This is my first acting experience. It's pretty interesting. Quite an eye-opener. Pretty fun as well. Yeah. Glad to be working alongside Kai. Never ever felt ashamed of showing you to my friends and colleagues.
Don't be ridiculous, Joey. This is different.
Elijah actually started advocacy at the age of 16?
16, I think about there, like legit going to like advocacy stuff was around 16.
So you started off with my Queer Story SG.
Actually, I started off with another page called like Queers of RV. But like yeah, since changed its name to Queers of LH, because like my school had a problem with having RV in the name.
Right.
Yeah, I started that actually a couple of months before my Queer Story SG. Because around like mid Sec 4, I realized like there's like no representation or like there are no like resources for like kids. Like there's like inter-uni and whatnot. But like for tertiary and pre-tertiary, there aren't a lot of like resources catered towards us. So at Sec 4, I decided to like start that page. I started it off like anonymously, so I don't think a lot of people knew that like I was the one running the page. Yeah, but then like once I started my Queer Story SG, I was a bit more like public with that lah. Cause like I pushed the page through like my personal Instagram first, and then to like redirect people to like this initiative after like the Ready for Repeal town hall discussion. Yeah.
Okay, so because you started like such advocacy work and stuff like that, so you actually get exposed to political stuff and being in the public space much early in your. I mean, for me, like I so old that I come out lah. So that was the coming out pre all your advocacy, or was it the advocacy first then your coming out?
Oh yeah, so that's quite interesting. Like I did advocacy stuff before I came out. I think like partially also like there were a few like factors that like prevented me from coming out lah. Because at that point in time I was still like pretty relatively young, I guess, like as a 16-year-old. Then I came out to my parents as bi when I was 14. And at that point in time they didn't take it very well, and they didn't want anyone else to know that I'm bi. So I just like kept it to myself. Only a couple of friends knew, that kind of thing. Then but after like over time, like my parents have grown to become like more tolerant, more accepting, trying to like understand a bit more. So now I am in a more like comfortable space, and like my parents are in a bit more like comfortable space where I can be more like open about my personal identity beyond just advocating for the rights of the community at large. Yeah.
Because I mean, like for myself, I don't think I've ever really like openly came out to anyone. Like how we always watch those videos like, oh, I got something to tell you, that kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Like that never happened to me, but like I realized like slowly and naturally, like when I was doing my own content and stuff, like I mean, like I didn't have the intention to like ever like saying like, oh, I'm gay, that kind of thing. But then I realized like after a while, when I'm just very constantly like trying to hide something, like it's just a very unauthentic voice in like doing such work. And in fact, like for like political stuff and whatnot, I still don't really like to dabble with like political stuff, but it somehow like at some point of time you realize that it's like part and parcel of like whatever we are doing.
Yeah,
like there's no way to get away from like talking about politics and stuff like that. Yeah,
the politics is very personal. I mean, like everything that we deal with in like day-to-day life is like ultimately tied to like what's like systemic, what are the policies that are in place that say like set certain like notions in the society, what are certain like policies that affect like people's lives, ability to like BTO or get flats at prime location, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's true. And I think like something that's very relevant to like content and also like media lah, which is like on censorship. So because you came out, I mean like you actually started like all these things when you are pre-18 years old, right? And the thing is that I guess for yourself, like you also like went out there and tried to like look for information on like your identity and all these like sexuality issues and whatnot. But the thing is that because in Singapore like such things are only like available like in the mainstream lah, after 18 years old, like strictly speaking, which actually like deter a lot of people from actually embrace themselves and also like knowing and accepting who they are at a younger age, which is actually like a very crucial part of our life.
Yeah.
Which is very damaging, like I feel. Like,
yeah, I think it's not just damaging to like queer people, right? But also like for cishet people who lack like this exposure to the diversity that exists around them. It breeds like this level of like ignorance and like indifference towards the situation that like queer people face as well.
Yeah. I mean like of course like generally we've always been talking about how cishet people are not exposed to all these things which led them to be ignorant. And I actually feel very much so for within our own community. A lot of people are actually having like some sort of like self-censorship going on. Like I think like even like maybe a gay person or whatsoever, we have some sort of this like we are not appropriate for people who are younger. Like it's very interesting, like if let's say like you put like a man and woman kissing in front of a baby, maybe they think it's fine. But then if it's like two guys or two girls kissing, then like
suddenly it's R21.
And we ourselves would actually kind of like not want to, like we actually find ourselves inappropriate. And I think like this is something that is kind of systemic also.
Yeah, definitely. I think like when we are surrounded in an environment that is like inherently like homophobic and transphobic, right? It's very hard for us not to like internalize that kind of self-hatred as well. So like it's very damaging to like mental health and like I guess like self-esteem and whatnot as well. It's very hard to find a place within ourselves when we can't find our place in our society.
I mean like, and also of course I'm not one that wants to push for like, you know, like constantly being unhappy about everything that's happening and whatnot. But then like I think like what the system in Singapore actually make very successfully done so is that it actually make even like queer people being like over contented with like whatever that we are having now. You know, like it's always this whole you know, like we know that there's some sort of like unfairness and discrimination, but then we are very good at like just suck down and accept it, which actually makes like a lot of things very difficult to move. You know, like because within our community itself, like there are a lot of people who are just like never mind, which is like like we don't even need to start talking about getting allies and also like, you know, getting like cishet people to accept our ideas. Within ourselves, like our people are already not accepting it. That we should push for like positive changes lah.
I think also like a lot of it has to play into how like civil society at large in Singapore operates, right? It's very like muted and there are a lot of restrictions in place, right? We have like the ISA, Public Order Act, FICA, POFMA, all these that like makes it very hard for people to even think about wanting to vocalize their thoughts. And there's like that layer of fear towards like, am I going to get like a black mark if I start talking about like more like taboo or like controversial issues? Is it going to hinder like my job security and whatnot? Which are like very important things to think about in a capitalist society, right? Like how are we going to survive if we don't get a job, if we have like all these like records, if we so like speak up against like the status quo. So I think this fear that has been like embedded in us and like normalized in society makes it very hard for even like queer people ourselves to even like realize that this is an issue that we should think about like challenging rather than just like what you said, like just suck thumb and then like suck it up, and at least we're not like being prosecuted by the state, you know, that kind of like sentiment. But it's much more than that.
You know how it is here.
The whole idea of being non-binary and also gender fluidity, I believe you actually have this YouTube video that you kind of like explain it for the layman to understand it.
I mean, my hair was green, so it was like a few weeks after the protest. Was it? I think it was a couple of days actually after the protest. I went to my friend's place and like, yeah, let's like record this video. Because originally when I like put the script together and I thought about like the whole idea of the video, I wanted to show it to my parents before Chinese New Year, so that like, you know, when we interact with like relatives, they will know how like properly address me and whatnot. But then after like filming the video, I didn't have time to edit it, and then my friends were busy also, so we put it off for like a really long time, up until June. Then was it June? July? My friend helped to edit it for me, and then I finally like got a chance to be able to like sit my whole family down and show them the video. So that was like my coming out. To talk a little bit more about they them pronouns, I know that using it to refer to one person may be something that is new to you.
I don't know if you have saw my interview with Andrea. So what happened was that when I actually put up the casting call for part 2, and when Andrea wrote to me, I had this moment of like not knowing how to react, because the story I wrote, I actually planned it to be like a straightforward, like a lesbian, like both person who identify themselves as female and clearly like cisgendered female teacher. So when Andrea wrote into me, and I started like taking a few steps back to really look at what it means to be like inclusive, especially with like the works I do. Then I actually called you and casted you. That's when I actually like sent you a message on Instagram saying like, hey, I got this story, this script that I want to shoot, and then you replied quite quickly lah. Do you still remember that day? Like,
Yeah, I remember. It was pretty interesting. I think I was quite taken aback because like I've never envisioned myself to be like an actor, right? Because I think also cause like like when I speak, I tend to be a bit like monotonous and like expressionless, and that's something that like,
that's most Singaporeans.
Right, just very dead and like very zombie-like. So I didn't think that like acting would be something that I would ever dabble into. And when you like reached out to me, I thought, whoa, what? Like that's pretty cool. I'd be glad to like, you know, try this out and like see where it takes me. And like it's a very like exciting production also, especially since there's very limited queer representation in Singapore, right?
We shower together, we sleep together.
Initially when I planned for the script, right, I thought of like, wow, very cool, like this driver like waiting for this person, then this person bought the car, then after that, then like what, like it's a one take thing, you know, like all the way through the conversation, argument, and reach the car park, that kind of thing. Like it's cool in a sense, but after you came on board and that I found out that you don't drive, and of course I went to check with my friends like, is it even safe to shoot someone you know, driving and acting at the same time? And it's actually not that safe lah. So I actually thought further, you know, if let's say like there's still the drive happening, but I do not show the driver, then what? It cannot be like just because like the driver cannot drive, I got a double to do that, then I don't shoot the driver. So I actually pushed even further like of the whole motif of being like the unseen. Yeah, which is something that I feel that is very very true and very apparent in our community. A lot of people are just hiding and camouflaging.
Right.
Yeah, so like in that story, like, you know, especially at the start, you do see like the character of Diana, which is the teacher. She is seen, whereas like the driver is never seen like directly in person, only in reflection.
Yeah. Yes, I'm serious. Clearly you're ashamed of us in some ways. There was an instance where someone came up to me on the MRT and like, you know, they were like about to get off the train already, but they saw me and then they walked over and like we like chatted for a bit and they thanked me for you know, like being there at MOE to like protest and like to speak up about like transphobia and to like take a stand on this. So I was like really like touched that like someone who I didn't know like just like came up to me like that in a public space about an issue that I guess would be, I don't know, deemed pretty like controversial and whatnot. So yeah, it's very heartening to know that like, you know, people support the work that I'm doing and are inspired to like advocate for rights like in their own lives as well.
Yeah. So on this point, like it's very interesting, like you know, when people come out and also, or like, you know, standing for certain things, they always see that this like layer of like threatening or risk of our own future in that sense. And of course, like I'm also one of those who actually think that way, thought that way, and but recently, like I feel that strangely, right, it's because of how I'm slowly like getting a bit more comfortable with my like sexuality, identity, and doing this work more comfortably, that I'm actually like exposed to like opportunities, and in fact I mean like that's kind of like expected within the community, like within the pink community, but I was quite surprised like recently, like beyond that, I actually had like a business person who actually want to you know, explore some working relationship with me because like he actually saw the IM series.
Oh.
Yeah, so he actually reached out to me and said that you know, it's really like very commendable that you're actually doing something like this, and there should be more of that, like, and he as a like, you know, representing a business entity, actually want to see how he can help like me like continue doing this work while being sustainable. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, it's just like mind blowing for me. Like yeah, so I think like this is something to note lah, for people who are afraid to, you know, be comfortable and be true to ourselves, right? Like, you know, it's alright to have this kind of fear, but at the same time, like don't be too cynical about this whole thing. There will be good things that will come out of you, you know, embracing who you are. Yeah, that's something I want to tell people.
Right. Yeah. I think there are like great things of like being out, right? Like not having to like hide your identity, being able to like openly like draw in people who are also like, you know, like wanting to be more accepting, wanting to be better allies. But I think also like it takes a level of like privilege to even be able to step out and like be open about like your queerness, right? Because especially for youths, a lot of us are still like financially dependent on our parents and whatnot, like relying on them for like food and shelter and whatnot. So if they are like very conservative, it's very hard for us to like be out, and like it would risk like all these like necessities that we need to like just like get by, right? And I think even like outside of that, if we want to maintain a relatively like decent relationship with like family, if you're like in a very like conservative space, it's very hard for like queer people to be out also. So like definitely there are like there is a good side to being out, but there's also a lot of things to consider, especially since like a lot of like our society is still very conservative.
Isaac wears the boy's uniform because he is a boy.
Well, he's born biologically.
So he is a boy in our school system.
So the whole idea of the gift is you know, kind of telling like people who are in the LGBTQ community that you are like a gift. You know, being is already a gift in like now, and it is a gift for like the future generation because of our existence. They can be able to exist more comfortably. Yeah, which is something that we definitely hope for.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like my queerness is like a gift to myself also. Like if I wasn't queer or if I didn't realize that I'm queer like so early on, right, I wouldn't have dabbled into advocacy and activism. I wouldn't have been like as aware as I am now about the different social issues, social inequalities that exist, and be able to get involved in the like political sphere and like civil society as well.
Yeah.
So I think like being queer actually like made me like who I am right now, you know.
I need to be there for those who need hope.
Being marginalized, being different, it actually make us it gives us this additional like perspective to things, yeah, which is like pretty interesting lah. Like I feel that like we are pretty like intelligent beings, and also like, you know, like I always like think that actually I'm quite talented, and I would actually feel that that can partly be attributed to like because I'm gay. So I'm actually like talented somewhat because I'm gay. And if like, let's say like if like I was straight, right, maybe I'll be less talented. You get what I mean?
I kind of get what you're saying. I guess like I don't know, like it gives us the, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say like being queer like gives you talents, but like I think it
The perspective
gives us,
lah,
yeah,
the,
it's
the
the
angle
perspective.
to look at things,
right.
like yeah, in a less normative way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That gives us an edge.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fair enough to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got you. You're gonna figure it out.
Take care and stay safe. I think like whether you wanna like come out or like these kind of things, there are a lot of things to like consider lah. And I think your safety should be like your main priority. It can be quite suffocating, but like, you know, make sure you can survive first. And if anything, like there's a whole like community of people out here like waiting to embrace you with open arms. So you're not alone. There are people out here who will support you, and just like, you know, take care. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like with all these things, not that everyone anyone should be subjected to this kind of like, you know, struggles and suffering, but as queer people, after going through all these things, there are a lot of interesting stories that come out of this, and this can actually like shape our perspective into like making us like greater people somewhat. Yeah, and so we will continue to like draw inspiration from these stories, inspiring stories, to make more content that you know, are representations of our LGBTQ community. Yeah, so look out for our Christmas special, I Am the Gift, which Elijah will appear as a guest appearance in there.